You're listening to a DM podcast.
We would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the traditional owners of the land we record this podcast on, the Yagara and Turrbal people,
and their continued connection to the land and waterways on which we meet.
Hello and welcome to Sportish, where we look at life through the lens of sport. My name's Georgie Trickett.
And I am Libby Trickett.
And Libby, if you'd stepped into the suburbs of Brisbane last night and you'd been out on the street, you would have heard cheers.
Mainly cheers.
Coming from houses both on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it was a big weekend in Brisbane.
So the Lions absolutely dominated in the Q Clash against the Suns at the Gabba on Saturday night. It was an impressive performance.
Yeah.
And they even didn't have some of their key players and still smashed it. It was a pleasure to watch. And then on Sunday afternoon, the Broncos took on the Raiders in Canberra, and the Raiders, as Ash explained last week, were the top of the table and definitely, I would say, the favourites based on form and based on what Ash has told us. And my God, it was an almighty match where two teams went at each other. There was a headbutting incident.
Ouch.
Who do you think that involved, Libby?
A Bronco player and another Bronco player.
No, Libby, it's like the Broncos played the Raiders. So
a Bronco player versus a Canberra.
Which Bronco player do you think? And you don't follow them.
Reece Walsh.
Yes, correct.
Yes, I got it.
I knew you would.
So good.
So Reece Walsh headbutted another player. There's some argy-budgy about how that went down. It didn't look great, but he also sort of saved the day and brought the match back into an equal footing that led to an extra 10 minutes that led to golden point time.
Wow.
So they played for something like 98 minutes and won on a kick from Ben Hunt that, my God.
We love a kick from Ben Hunt.
It only just went in.
We love it. So good. And also sorry to every other team around the country and anyone who listens from around the country.
Look, the WhatsApp
commiserations.
We're going nuts, and I do feel for the Canberra Raiders, but they've got another chance, and we look forward to meeting them in the finals. And that's about as much as an NRL we get into, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's all we've got.
But we do want to talk rugby union.
Yes.
The Women's Rugby World Cup has been going on for the last couple of weeks, and we've been watching it from our homes here in Australia.
Watching it all unfold.
And I felt like we needed to bring an update to the sporties because there will be some people who are not across it, and it's a really important part of women's sport in Australia.
And I think we needed an expert.
Oh, we absolutely needed an expert. And Archie is not it.
Archie ain't it.
You can hear him in the background because, of course, he's a baby and he doesn't follow a sleep schedule at all. So we have him in the studio, and we thank you for your patience. We also have in the studio Dominque du Toit. She is a two-time Olympic rugby seven. She's a World Cup winner from the 2022 World Cup. She's recently arrived at the Cronulla Sharks. She's switched codes and jumped into something new.
Which we love to see.
It's brilliant. And on top of that, and I don't know when she has the time, she's the social media manager for the Female Athlete Project. Dom, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. You make it sound like I'm really busy, but I probably have more time than most, to be fair.
Don't sell yourself short, Dom.
You're amazing. It's so wonderful to see what you've been able to accomplish and then obviously transfer those talents across codes. I mean, I know we're here to talk about the World Cup, but can you tell me what it's been like to transfer those skills from rugby to rugby league?
Yeah, it's been probably a little bit more difficult than I initially thought. It's obviously both contact games, both played with an oval ball, so that's been great for me, the transition. But just the defensive side, and I guess like 7 people on a field opposed to 13 people on the field, I'm used to having a lot more space to run at, whereas now I'm having to run into bodies, which is not natural for me. But it's been good. It's been such a good group at the Cronulla Sharks. There's, I'm going to say, maybe 8 or 9 girls who came from sevens initially as well. So that's great, having them guide me through that transition.
Dom, can you talk us a little bit about the Wallaroos' progression through the World Cup and how they've performed as our national team?
The Wallaroos, they've been great. They were in a tough pool. They obviously had hosts England, who are world number 1. I think England are on I think it's 31-game winning streak.
Wow.
I think they've broken the world record for that.
They're going all right.
They are. It was from the last Rugby World Cup final. They lost New Zealand. That was the last game that England lost. So they are absolutely the benchmark, phenomenal. But the Wallaroos have been great. I think they're still probably still in the process of writing their story. There's a lot of young girls that are coming up, developing. Wallaroos in rugby 15s in Australia is not full-time. I think that's growing towards the 2029 World Cup. So they opened up their campaign against Samoa And they were great, super clinical. I think what was the most impressive part was they didn't have a single try scored against them against Samoa. It was maybe 72-0. And then the next game against USA was going to determine whether they go through to the quarterfinals. It ended up being a draw, which was not ideal for both teams because then it left it to the next game, their final game. They were both, I guess, waiting on the other side what the score was. Yeah, the girls lost to England, but it was enough to get them through the quarterfinal, which was huge. They played that quarterfinal on the weekend against Canada and went down, unfortunately. Canada, again, another very strong side. I think they're ranked number 2 in the world, maybe. But it was just, there were so many moments for those girls over there that I think are going to build towards 2029. Caitlin Hulse is the fullback. She's 18 years old and she was unbelievable. She was the youngest Wallaroo to ever play when she made her debut, and then youngest, I think, at the World Cup as well. So, and she's been great. So to think that that's her now at 18 and there's still 4 more years for the next World Cup is super promising for the girls.
Dom, we have a really proud history of rugby union here in Australia. Why is it that, Northern Hemisphere countries like Canada, like England are so much stronger than the Australians at this point in time?
Yeah, I think it's what program they're prioritising. In Australia, it's very much been the sevens for quite a few years with the Olympics. I think that was the initial drive for that. But I do think that's starting to shift, and in the women's space, there is starting to be put more of an emphasis on the 15s, especially with that home World Cup 2029. England, a few years ago, they started transitioning to the 15 space. Like they're years ahead of Australia in terms of that. And I don't think they have a professional sevens program anymore at the moment, whereas in Australia we do. So it's kind of just what the countries are prioritising, I guess.
And I guess it's also a case of until that grassroots level has built that capacity to then work with both the sevens and the 15s to have that ability to push both opportunities.
Oh, 100%. I think we saw this year quite a few sevens girls put their hands up wanting to be involved in the 15 space. I think the more that the two programs can collaborate, it's going to only grow both formats of the game, 100%. Same with, if you look to England and Canada, they have multiple X-Sevens girls playing in those squads, whereas we have a lot fewer. I think the more that we can encourage dual format of the game, it's going to grow both sides.
I'd love to know, I mean, obviously there's the actual performances and the outcomes of the matches, but what we know about these kinds of events is there's so many cultural moments that we see come to the fore, and they're the really joyful parts, I think, of any sort of world champs or World Cups, Olympics, Paralympics. So for you, what has been those standout kind of cultural moments that kind of everyone connects over?
There's been a few. For Brazil, it was their first ever World Cup they've qualified for, and one of their players, Bianca Silva, just her story coming from the favelas and growing up there, and her family still working towards giving her an opportunity to play sport and prioritising that. You've got Ilona, what she has done for women's rugby, women's sport as a whole.
Yeah, she rocks.
She rocks, doesn't she? And just championing other women and other sports, no matter who they are. She was at the Wallaroos quarterfinal. That was a quarterfinal she was hoping to be playing in. She was there supporting the girls. Like, I think that is unbelievable. And you look at the Welsh rugby player, Georgia Evans, she played with these 2 pink bows in her hair. She had her makeup done. She looked amazing, and she got a lot of criticism for the way she looked when she played, and she put a statement out there just saying, a lot of people have been criticising me for this, and for that I'm not sorry at all. It does not affect the way that I'm able to play and put my body on the line and show up for my team. And the support that she has received from that has been amazing. And I think that's another thing Ilona does really well. She goes there, she plays with red lipstick. That doesn't affect the way I play whatsoever. And it's just so great to see. I think the table's turning a little bit, the tide's turning in that regard. It doesn't matter what you look like, and especially rugby. There's so many sports, but rugby in particular, all shapes, sizes, walks of life, it is perfect for all of them. There's a spot for everyone on that field, and this Rugby World Cup certainly showing that.
There was a great clip that a New Zealand ad put out over the weekend about the lack of coverage that the Silver Ferns, the New Zealand national team, had received from the New Zealand press.
One News are taking the absolute beep. Third night in a row, no mention of the Black Ferns, New Zealand's national women's rugby team who are in a World Cup. My three girls are sitting behind me here on the couch thinking, hey, we're going to see a Black Ferns story. No story, no mention. Another All Blacks story. I love watching the sport news, but like a World Cup, guys, once every 4 years, and the women's team have made it to the quarterfinals. Surely we can scrape together a story about it. There's more All Black stories. That's the men's rugby team, but nothing about the women. You feel for them, and it boils my blood. Sorry, girls. Maybe tomorrow.
As someone who's in the Female Athlete Project, who's looking at the amplification of women's sport through all the different channels, how have you seen the coverage of the Women's World Cup go this time around?
I think it's definitely been better, but like that New Zealand dad said, they've got a long way to go. It's not good enough, I don't think. I think if you look at what the Matildas did for Australian sport, I was like, this is it. We're seeing a new chapter. We're on the up. And this is certainly not that level. I know it's not a home World Cup for Australia, so there's that element of it. But it's so important for the future of women's sport. And I think if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat, because there's a lot of other people out there, a lot of other countries and sports that are. England, what they've done for this home World Cup has been amazing. It is so great to see what mainstream media, the effort that they've put into it. So I really hope that, I understand it's not a home World Cup for Australia, but I really do hope that when 2029 comes, that Australia's ready, because if they don't, they're going to miss the boat. And women's sport right now is honestly unbelievable. It's on the up. People are recognising it for what it's worth. And yeah, as I said, if you don't do it, you're going to miss out.
Well, Dom, you are an absolute wealth of knowledge. We so appreciate you coming onto the pod today to talk us through everything Women's World Cup. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And Georgie, I'm bringing back two quick things again because
it really suits your narrative at the moment.
You know what? I was just thinking about it and I'm like, this is how I digest the world.
Yeah. It's small microbites.
Small microbites.
Is it possibly because there's like a child on your hip right now who
I'm currently bouncing to try and be quiet? Possibly. And also, I think it's just how my brain works. I like quick little dips into sport.
Sporties who love that too.
Yeah. You know, I'm not deep on the research.
I know this.
You're clearly the research person in our relationship. So my two quick things are the World Athletics Championships are on at the moment.
They've been so good. I'm getting Olympic vibes from just being able to have the TV on all the time and sport playing 24/7.
I know, it's delightful, isn't it? And it was so good because as we were recording this last night, I was able to put the telly on for my late night baking session, getting the kids' lunches ready for the week. and
saying, I love my life. I love my life.
I'm so grateful.
I used to win Olympic medals.
And I used to go to bed at 9 and then just focus on me and then have a 3-hour nap. And now I'm making muffins at 11 p.m.
Oh, and you're so good for doing that.
I'm very proud of my. Thank you for acknowledging that.
I am at the point where I just order the Woolworths mini muffins and they go in the freezer. And then you can just put them in your lunch box.
And that's totally fine.
Each to their own.
Each to their own. Anyway, I'm in a phase of baking because baking is my love language. And I put on the telly because I was like, oh, maybe the Vuelta's on. No, that wasn't on. Let's watch the World Athletics Championships. Awesome. So the Aussies are doing really, really well. It's so exciting. We saw Tori Lewis break the Australian record in the 100 metres dash.
And Lachlan Kennedy was very excited about that in the commentary. Bruce was like, let's stay calm. Let's stay calm. This is amazing, but let's stay calm.
I love that they've got Lachie Kennedy.
It's brilliant.
In commentary. Amazing. Because at first I didn't know who that voice was. And then he was talking about Lachie Kennedy. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How good.
I love that even though he has an injury and he hasn't been able to compete, he's still part of it. And I think that's brilliant. I think broadcasters are doing an amazing job at bringing through the next crop of talent.
I totally agree. And what an opportunity for him as well. But I got to see the women's 100 dash. I got to see the men's 100 dash, even though obviously Lockie wasn't there. But we got to see some insights. It's been really exciting.
Oh, and all the steeplechasers.
Oh my God, the steeplechasers. The men's 10,000 was unbelievable. I mean, don't ask me the name of the person, but I know he was French. He won. And that was very, very fast.
Yeah. So much faster than we could have done. 10,000 meters.
And yet looks so effortless.
That's always, I'm always blown away. Like even with the steeplechase, they're jumping over these timber hurdles.
A giant hurdle.
And yet they're just like sprinting in between all of it.
I know.
The effort to lift your leg up that high and then continue in like a solid canter.
So good. And Jess Hull is also running very well.
Amazingly, she's through to the final.
Yes, which is very, thank you for knowing that. I just knew that she was running well.
Silver in Paris, looking to see if she can consolidate that form. Ooh. And all the form she's had in the Diamond League and really bring it
she's
forward.
Been amazing. So, yeah, highly recommend. Go and watch the World Athletics Championships.
Just turn it on in the background.
Just have it on. It's like my version of the cricket. So just have it on in the back. Yeah, it's like have it on in the background, dip in and out. You get to see some long jump, some high jump. The Aussie athletes are unbelievable at the moment. We've got so much more depth than we ever have had before.
Yeah.
So highly recommend. The other quick thing that I wanted to talk to you about, the Vuelta. I spoke last week about how there was pro-Palestinian protests happening throughout different stages, and they've had it pretty consistently throughout the 3 weeks. There's been pro-Palestinian protesters along lots of courses. A number of courses have had to be cut short, including the final stage.
Oh, that blows my mind. That's so heartbreaking.
Yes.
For those athletes to lose, that last stage that they've been working so hard at.
I know. And it was really interesting because for the final 2 stages, the second to last stage, the Queen stage.
Why is it called the Queen stage?
Because it's like the highest climbing.
Is that the one where they're literally having to push them over the last
Yes.
hill?
Yeah. So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So they were like, once they cross the line, they get pushed up the hill to get to because they have nothing left, right?
Yeah, fair.
So the second last stage, during it, there were protesters who were literally coming across the road in a way that was incredibly dangerous, not just for the athletes, but definitely for the athletes, but certainly for the protesters as well. And then in the final stage, they had to cut the course 55 kilometres short. They couldn't go anywhere near the finish line. The protesters were pushing down barricades. It was like not violent, but like aggressive, I would say. And it's one of those things, like I am absolutely all for protesting. I think it's really important. Freedom of speech, all of that is so important. Obviously, this is a real life issue that is incredibly important to talk about. And
more than sport.
And so much more than sport. The difficulty I found was that, like, I get that this is a way to get that awareness and to get that attention. Totally understand that. And I also recognize that for these athletes, like that would be a really difficult thing to navigate, not only for safety, like feeling threatened, and cycling is just so bloody dangerous anyway, but to not have that protection and to be exposed to protesters would be really quite scary, I think.
I think it's what's scary for an athlete or anyone in that circumstance. Like they're in a very fast-moving thing.
Yes.
And you're dealing with a really unpredictable crowd.
Yes.
And that's terrifying.
And that's what we saw a single protester kind of semi-launch at the peloton, and then a police officer run across in front of the peloton, and then that instigated a crash.
Wow.
And that person ended up having to abandon the race. So that was earlier on in the Vuelta. So like it's one of those things, like you absolutely want these people to be able to have that voice and to have that attention and to raise awareness, but we need to do it in a way that is not threatening people's safety. And it would have been really disappointing for all of the athletes not being able to have the ceremony at the end because they weren't able to access the medal ceremony. So a bit of a weird one, but interesting. And I don't know, what are your thoughts about it?
I think it's really important to discuss. I think we know that sport will have this intersection
Yes.
with
Culture.
politics and culture.
Yeah.
And I think this is just another example of, sport doesn't exist in a vacuum or a bubble, and there are so many different ways that it can connect to what's going on in the wider world, and this is just another one of them. Libby, as we have discussed in this episode, research is what I bring.
Like, it's your talent. Like, just deep
Oh God, I hope I have
talent.
more.
It's your one and only talent.
It's your single thread.
It is your only thread, but you are very good. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm not offended at all.
But you are very good at research.
I like a bit of research. So here I'd like to bring you some recent research out of the UK in relation to girls' sport, because I think it's really important. Girls who play after-school sport in the UK are 50% more likely to get top jobs later in life, according to research, which reveals that the boost is equivalent to a university degree.
Wow.
So this was a commissioned report by Sky, which is a broadcaster in the UK, and part of a campaign that they're currently pushing. And they said that girls are missing out about 1.4 hours a week,
Wow.
which is the equivalent of 280 hours annually.
Wow.
And a lot of them are being excluded due to cost or lack of access to local sports. 1 in 3 girls surveyed for the report said boys had access to a wider range of sports. Some girls also described a hostile environment, which I've observed, with a third aged 11 to 18 experienced sexist comments while playing sport. That's something you and I have both experienced. I had hoped it didn't happen still, but apparently it does. Rising to 42% among 15 to 18-year-old girls, and nearly a quarter of 11 to 18-year-olds experiencing sexual comments.
That's awful.
This is horrendous. It's fascinating to me, and obviously this is a UK context, and that's quite different.
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask, in all of your research, what is the relevance to Australia? Like, do you have similarities here, or?
We know that, we absolutely know that girls are overrepresented in terms of sports dropout.
Yeah,
in
that
teenage.
participation cliff that we talk about.
We see it. We know it from the research. The Australian government, off the back of the Matildas, dedicated funding to improve facilities for girls. Again, if you speak to people like Chloe Dalton from the Female Athlete Project, she will say that girls are used to being put on poor fields with poor lighting at really bad times of day. You look at even like the struggle that's happened, and it's been a really honest struggle. Like, I think the AFL has been really open about it, but the trickiness that the AFL have had in finding the right venues for women, the right playing conditions. Initially when the AFLW started, they were playing on some pitches that had really hard cricket wickets in the middle of them, that sort of thing. I think Australia, off the back of the Matildas, is now seeing it as a really worthwhile investment. But I think it's just a good reminder that it's not an equal playing field. I've been told of schools in Australia where girls are not granted access to sports like AFL, like cricket, because they're not girls' sports. So don't kid yourself. This is still happening in our school system.
Very much a thing.
And it's very much dependent on, how PE departments are funded, the teachers that are working in those departments, the resourcing in those departments. If PE departments aren't resourced enough, I can see how incredibly difficult it is to broaden your sports offerings. But at the same time, I think as school communities, we sort of have to sit there and go, hang on, why can't we play? And if there's not enough resources, how do we fundraise through your P&C to make sure that the girls can also go to a soccer championships?
Can you repeat that first fact?
Girls who play after-school sport in the UK are 50% more likely to get top jobs later in life, which is an equivalent boost to a university degree.
Like, if that isn't reason enough to create accessibility and recognize the importance of, yes, kids in general, but particularly girls playing sport, then I don't know what is. Like, what an amazing launch pad it is for young girls playing sport into life.
And then the double power then, if they want to go to university, and obviously lots of people don't, and that's fine, but imagine if you've played sport and then you get to go to university, your impact in the workplace. We know that women who play sport as girls are more likely to take on C-suite positions in corporates. this is research that further supports that assertion that if you give kids and if you give girls access to sport in outside of school hours, they are more likely to be successful in the world.
And just to reiterate, you don't have to be the best at the sport.
You just have to play.
You just have to play it.
Nowhere here at Libby in these like pages of research does it say you must be in the A team.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you have to go to the Olympics or the Paralympics or play at the World Cups.
Nope. You can be in the Div 4 team at the netball courts. That you still get all the benefits of this participation. That's what this report is saying. So families, find those teams that your girls can play in. Please make sure that you might have a quieter girl, and I've seen this in families as well, where the boys are really outstripping everyone else in terms of their time commitment. And then the girl, there's not enough time to support the daughter to play sport.
But also,
both should play sport.
Everyone should play sport. I have 2 really active girls who are very keen to play sport and a third one who is indifferent.
Yeah.
Take or leave it, not interested.
Whatevs, mum.
Whatever. But we have managed to find a sport for her that she really likes, that she really engages with. Gymnastics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like what is this mystery sport to play?
No, okay. Pickleball. No, we're not there yet. I'm almost there.
So maybe we should go and try pickleball.
Can we try pickleball?
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Let's do that. Okay. I mean, I know we're going on a tangent, but find the sport. It doesn't have to be what you think it should be. It could be cricket.
It could be cricket.
It could be.
You could be finding the nets at your friend's house.
It could be pickleball. It could be tunnel ball. It doesn't matter. Just find something and that will have long-term enormous benefits for you girls.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Sportish. And thank you again to our guest on the pod today, Dom.
Where can you find us on Instagram, Georgie?
At Being Sportish. We'd love for you to jump on there and give us a follow. Please hit follow. We share some really good content.
We're funny.
Equally, we are. We are so funny.
Georgie's the research and I'm the vibes.
Oh!
I mean, your vibes as well. I am definitely not research.
Wrapping this up faster than we thought. Give us a follow on Instagram. Also hit follow or
subscribe
on your podcast app. That way you know when we drop an episode. We've got some really great episodes that are coming up.
Yes, very exciting things.
You don't want to miss it.
You want to be in on it.
We will be...
Jimmy Barnes is in the background.
Yeah, we've got to leave. We'll be back in your ears in the next couple of weeks. We might take a week or so off for a holiday because we need it.
School holidays.
Because we have so many children. Mm-hmm. But we shall be back very soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.